Have you ever been in a conversation where, even after saying everything you wanted to, you walked away feeling like you lost? Have you ever felt that tight knot in your throat, like every word pushed you further from your own strength? Maybe you're surrounded by people who talk loudly, interrupt, mock, and take over the room with arrogance that looks like confidence. And maybe, deep inside, you believed that staying quiet meant you were weak. That if you didn't speak up, you were letting people walk over you. That if you didn't explain yourself or defend your position, you were surrendering. Maybe you thought silence made you invisible, small, even cowardly. The world taught you that power belongs to the loudest voice, to the one who stands their ground with words like weapons. You were told that not reacting meant losing, that silence was giving up, that peace without explanation was just fear hiding in plain sight. But what if I told you that this belief is not only false, but backwards? That real strength doesn't live in the noise, it lives in the quiet? That true power isn't found in how fast or loud you speak, but in your ability to hold your ground without needing to say a single word? Because silence, when chosen, not forced, isn't weakness. It's control. It's presence. It's the sound of someone who knows exactly who they are and doesn't need anyone's permission to exist. Nietzsche, one of the most misunderstood thinkers in history, saw something few dare to accept. People who talk too much often reveal too much, not just about what they think, but about their inner insecurity. The need to speak, to convince others, to constantly prove yourself through arguments, is not a sign of strength, it's a sign of fear. Nietzsche noticed that those who are truly powerful don't feel the urge to explain themselves. They don't argue for validation. Instead, they remain grounded, unshaken, and calm. We grow up in a culture that teaches us every discussion is a battle, every disagreement a war to be won. We are told to speak up, defend ourselves, explain our positions until we are accepted. But Nietzsche challenged this entire way of thinking. He offered another path, a more intelligent, more grounded, and ultimately more commanding path. It's the path of restraint, of control, of silence. A silence that doesn't come from having nothing to say, but from knowing that not everything deserves your energy. It is the silence of someone who knows who they are and does not need the approval of the crowd to exist fully. He believed silence isn't just the lack of sound, it's a presence. A powerful, commanding one. It's not just about what's missing, it's about what silence contains: control, confidence, and clarity. Silence creates a space where masks start to slip, where people begin to reveal things they didn't intend to. That stillness isn't empty, it's full of tension, of energy, of unspoken truths. It's unsettling because it strips away the noise people hide behind. It makes them sit with their own thoughts, their own insecurities. It confronts them with their own reflection. Most people speak to avoid themselves, to distract from doubt. But silence forces them to feel everything they've been trying to ignore. That's why it throws them off balance. That's why it's so powerful. This video is for you. For the one who feels ignored, overlooked, unheard. For the one who leaves every discussion feeling unseen. For the one who always keeps the peace while others take advantage of that calm. Maybe you've confused your silence with weakness. But today, I'll show you that silence can be your greatest power. And that the real win doesn't come from winning the argument, but from not needing to fight at all. Why do we feel the urge to respond, to correct others, to prove we're right? Because we're scared of being seen as wrong, scared of being judged, scared of being misunderstood. That fear is often invisible, but it's there. And behind it lies the ego, fragile, restless, and always on edge. The ego doesn't seek peace, it seeks dominance. It sees every disagreement as a personal attack, not as a conversation. It craves validation because deep down, it's not sure of itself. That's why it reacts so quickly, so emotionally. It panics when it feels threatened, and tries to win with noise. Nietzsche understood this long before modern psychology did. He said that people rarely argue to uncover truth. Most of the time, they argue to hold on to their beliefs, to protect them, because if those beliefs are questioned too deeply, they might fall apart. The louder someone argues, the more likely it is that their ideas are built on shaky ground. So what we see as confidence is often insecurity in disguise. And what we feel as a need to respond, to justify ourselves, is actually our ego screaming not to be exposed. This is why reacting isn't power, it's a trap. And silence, when chosen wisely, becomes the way out. Because the person who doesn't need to argue, doesn't need to prove, they already hold the higher ground. So when you feel the need to explain yourself, to defend your view, you've already lost. Because that need shows you still want to be accepted, liked, understood. Nietzsche called this herd morality, the mindset of people who want to fit in, who fear standing alone. True strength, Nietzsche said, is not needing to convince anyone, not needing to explain yourself, defend your worth, or win anyone's approval. It's the quiet confidence of standing firm while others question, mock, or dismiss you. It's not about being right in their eyes, but about staying rooted in your own truth. Even when people misunderstand you, misjudge you, or try to tear you down, true strength is keeping your composure, not because you're suppressing your voice, but because you know it doesn't need to be used for validation. That is real power, the kind that doesn't beg for attention, that doesn't demand the spotlight. It's not loud. It's not aggressive. It's steady, grounded, and deeply secure. It's the power of a person who knows who they are, and no longer needs anyone else to confirm it. If you really want to win, understand this: arguments are theater, a performance where everyone plays a part, trying to look confident, strong, or righteous. But the moment you jump into that play, you've accepted the script. You've agreed to play by someone else's rules. And in doing so, you've already given up your power. Because the loudest person is not always the strongest, they are often the most insecure. When you react emotionally, when you rush to defend yourself, to explain or convince, you've revealed that you're unsettled inside. That you need something from the other person: approval, agreement, validation. And that need is weakness. The reactive mind is like a leaf in the wind, tossed around by every opinion, every insult, every challenge. But the one who simply observes, the one who listens without needing to jump in, that's the powerful mind. Because watching without reacting takes control. It means you're no longer a puppet pulled by others' words. You are still. You are aware. You are in charge. While others perform, you remain grounded, watching the stage from above it. And that's when you become dangerous, not because you shout, but because you don't need to. Your silence becomes the presence everyone feels but no one can touch. So how do we show strength without talking? Nietzsche had an answer: the Übermensch, or the Overman. Not just a person, but an ideal, a new kind of human who rises above the ordinary and breaks free from the expectations of the crowd. The Übermensch doesn't follow the herd. He doesn't live to be accepted. He's someone who has mastered himself completely, his thoughts, his emotions, his impulses. His power doesn't come from dominance over others, but from complete control over himself. And from that control, he creates impact, not with volume, not with arguments, but with presence alone. The world bends around him because his silence speaks louder than others shouting. He doesn't need approval. He doesn't need to prove. He shapes reality by being fully himself, anchored, calm, and unshakably clear. This is strength that moves without sound. It's influence born from inner mastery. The Übermensch doesn't need to win debates. He doesn't play emotional games. He speaks only when it matters. And when he does, people listen. Because his silence is not empty. It's heavy. It's full of meaning. It's a signal of self-control. When others shout, he stays calm, unmoved, grounded like a mountain while storms swirl around him. When others explain endlessly, desperate to be understood, he simply watches, carefully, attentively. His silence becomes more than quiet. It becomes a mirror, a wall, a force. People feel it. The room feels it. It creates a weight, a pause, a question that hangs in the air. And in that silent space, people begin to unravel. They start overthinking. They grow uncomfortable. They wonder what is thinking. They scramble to fill the silence, but in doing so, they reveal more than they intend. They show their fears, their doubts, their cracks. This is no ordinary silence. It's not passive or empty. It's charged. It's deliberate. It's power under control. Every word he holds back is a move not wasted. Every silence is a calculated strike. He knows that speaking too soon is exposing too much. That reacting emotionally is showing your soft spots. So he stays quiet, not because he lacks thoughts or strength, but because he understands that sometimes silence is the most dominant voice in the room. It's the sound of someone who doesn't need to fight for space, because he already owns it. And here's the thing, his silence isn't just strength, it's unsettling in a way that rattles people at their core. It's not merely the absence of words, it's a spotlight that turns inward, making others confront the very noise they use to drown out their doubts. Most people rely on constant chatter, on external distractions, to avoid sitting with their own insecurities. But when someone remains quiet, fully composed and intentional, it strips away that cover. It forces others to hear themselves without the buffer of another voice. They start to fumble, to feel exposed, even judged, even if no judgment was intended. The silence becomes a mirror, one they can't look away from. It's powerful because it cannot be manipulated. It's present without being aggressive, commanding without raising its voice. In a world that runs on speed, volume, and reaction, silence is the ultimate disruption. It halts the rhythm, it breaks the momentum, it rewrites the rules of engagement. That's why, in a society addicted to noise, those who master silence don't just stand out, they rise above. They become kings, not through control of others, but through the complete control of themselves. But why is silence so unsettling? Psychology gives us the answer. Silence feels like judgment. People start to feel nervous. Their brains go into panic. They wonder, is he judging me? Did he see my weakness? Silence cuts deep. It reveals hidden truths. Nietzsche knew this long before science proved it. People often talk not to communicate, but to cover up. They speak to mask their uncertainty, to convince themselves that they are in control, to fill the unbearable silence that might reveal their inner chaos. Words become a smokescreen, a distraction from their own fears. And when you choose not to respond, not to play along, that smokescreen disappears. The truth begins to surface. They are left alone with their own words, their own discomfort, and their own reflection. That's when their defenses begin to crack. Manipulators, especially, rely on your emotional reactions. They push your buttons so you'll react, because your reactions give them power. Your anger, your need to explain, your justifications, those are their tools. But when you remain calm, unbothered, and silent, they lose access to those tools. They lose control. And without your participation, their strategies collapse. They reveal themselves. They crumble, not because you attacked, but because you refused to feed their game. That's the power of intentional silence. It exposes what words try to hide. But here's the darkest part. Sometimes silence isn't power, it's a prison. It's not strength, it's suppression. It's the voice inside you screaming to be heard, while you force yourself to keep still because you've been taught that speaking up is wrong. You start thinking that staying silent is the mature thing to do, that keeping the peace is more important than expressing your truth. But that belief didn't come from wisdom, it came from conditioning. From a lifetime of being told to not cause problems, to not make noise, to always be agreeable. And slowly, that silence becomes less of a choice and more of a habit of shrinking, of stepping aside, of letting others take the lead while you stay behind, thinking you're doing the right thing. But in reality, you're giving away your power piece by piece. Not speaking out of strength, but out of fear. Not staying calm because you're in control, but because you've forgotten what it feels like to take up space. That kind of silence isn't noble, it's neglect. It's abandoning yourself in the name of being liked, accepted, or simply not causing waves. And over time, it chips away at who you are until you no longer recognize the person behind the quiet. That's not what silence was meant to be. Nietzsche saw this too. He called it the morality of slaves, a system of values not created out of true virtue, but out of necessity and fear. It's a moral code born from weakness, crafted by those who had no real power, and designed to tame and soften those who did. It teaches you to always be agreeable, to avoid confrontation, to make yourself small in the name of peace. But this kind of peace is deceptive. It's not harmony, it's quiet defeat. It's the peace that comes when you let others walk all over you and convince yourself that being silent makes you a better person. And the most dangerous part? You start to feel proud of that silence. You mistake it for wisdom. You think it makes you noble. But it's not strength, it's disguised surrender. It's what happens when your true self has been buried under layers of social conditioning that taught you it's better to be accepted than to be free. Nietzsche saw this as the ultimate betrayal of human potential, the shrinking of the strong to fit inside cages built by the fearful. From now on, your silence must change. It must stop being a hiding place and become a declaration. A statement of who you are. A boundary. Not everyone will understand it, and that's okay. You don't need to be understood. You need to be yourself. So how do you become this kind of person? How do you stop being used and start commanding respect without saying a word? It starts with a choice. To speak only when necessary. To observe like a hunter. To let silence build tension. To be unpredictable. And most of all, to stop needing others to agree with you. This is the silence of the Übermensch. The silence that says, I know who I am. I don't need to prove anything. Comment below, I choose the silence that commands respect. Say it for yourself. Say it so the world knows you're no longer silent because you're scared. You're silent because you're strong. And remember, the weak shout. The strong stay silent. The wise know when to speak.